and I'm just hitting refresh right here. Perfect, we've got a bunch of things we want to pay. Now, we have a ton of options right here. Say we came in here and it was ready and now we're ready to pay this. How much money do we have? Check this out, look above here. It'll tell you we have a default bank and currently we're negative 1,000, okay?
Oops.
That's because we haven't done any deposits, we haven't done anything, and we just paid an expense, okay? But it's trying to already help you, like, hey, you have about $1,000 to work with, actually negative 1,000, but in theory, pretend that it's actually positive. We haven't done all the pieces, if you will, okay? So how many of these do we want to pay for?
Let's pay for part of so let's see what the split is like.
Great, 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 no problem. Watch this. Cheryl, why don't we have you run this particular one? We can all follow along, but just don't do the final submit on the next page. Okay?
Which means create receipt.
Yes, yes. At the very, very, very bottom where it says create receipt, we can go clear to that point and we don't hurt anything. But the actual create
I
receipt.
just paid, okay.
And if you want to do a partial, watch this, I'll just show you something. One for $131 that has the neat little image on it. Say I was only going to set $75 towards that. You just physically go in and say, this one right here was 131, but I changed it to 75.
Okay,
If you want to do a partial.
okay.
And you can do partial, 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 partial. It doesn't make a bit of difference, okay? It's just like, okay, well, I'm not fully satisfied. I'm just going to, virtually what's happening is as we add these pieces to the puzzle and this time is going on, it's basically saying, am I even able to go to the next step? No, I got a little piece, but I still need to wait in the AP waiting room because I'm not fully satisfied yet. You still owe me X number of dollars on it. And so it'll sit there until it gets more. If I needed to pay $5, $5, $5 every week, that thing just happily sits there. It keeps getting older, but it eventually will finally get it paid off. Okay, that's kind of it's the same. Once you learn these processes, guess what? We didn't even talk about invoices, but if somebody owes me money and they're making payments, it sits in the customer waiting room, the AR waiting room, until it fully gets paid off. If I have a PO or something else that's in the AP waiting room, it's just going to sit there until it gets paid off. And so you're able to, that's what there's technically some time that's passing there. That's what's happening, and possibly even values.
Okay, so I hit this, and now it shows, okay, I'm going to pay this now. Now what do I do at this point?
Okay, so I'm going to assume, and I don't know what you have, but I clicked about 4 boxes and I did one of them as a partial payment.
I did exactly the same thing.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to hit pay.
Right.
So all of a sudden I have a cool little report. If I wanted to, I could click this little thing, which would create a little report for me that I could then print out and send with my check or whatever. Because the check doesn't want to hold all this value. What if you had 100 of them that you were doing? You can't fit that on a check. So basically what it does is it builds a little thing. If you wanted to, you can click on it. It lets you print it out. And then you go through the bottom form and you physically pay for it. Okay? So the bottom part of the form, we would just scroll down. We would kind of say, okay, that looks good, that looks good. You modify anything that you need to, and you come down and you say default bank. And he already used check number 12, so I would use like check number 13 or 14 or something like that. If you do duplicate checks, it will be like, just so you know, like it kind of, it'll still let it fly through, because technically, who knows what's going on, but it will flag you. It'll be like, it'll kind of let you know. But it does let it go through. And then you're going to eventually come down to the bottom and say, I'm going to assign this to a type of inventory, which is actually in your line items. Okay, I would need one more thing here if you're trying to copy me. He was on 13, so I would probably be on like 14.
Transaction number, that's for your credit cards,
Okay.
wires.
It's okay. Yeah. Yep. So if I have an ACH, an EFT, anything like that, something that's happening, that's where your wires and that type of stuff goes. And some people want to track it, and some people don't. But if you want to track it, it's searchable later on. So did you actually create that?
Yes.
Perfect. So it probably is the expense receipt number 2, right?
Sure, why not?
Click. Awesome. Great. Perfect. Now, here's a cool feature. I'm currently on printable expense receipt. That's what it says up by my logo. And I'm on number 2. You could assign any sort of photos you want. There's a bunch of different links that are happening. You technically, right here, watch this. You have a main. You have 4 line items, and you have one payment. So if you scroll down even lower, one payment, check number 13, okay? 4 of these, one vendor, okay? And this is the main for the expense receipt. This is the line items, and this is the payment. It should sound very familiar to other things you've done. Like main, line item, payment, main, line item, payment. Like every single thing has that structure, okay? And once you learn that, it's very important. If you're lost at all, watch this. Expense receipt needs a main, okay? A main is tied to a payee or a vendor. This could be employee or a vendor, okay? But it needs this little special tie-in. I then add line items. On this particular one, I have 4. Okay? And I have at least one payment. The other thing that's already happened behind the scenes is technically I have some system maintained history. You created an object just like this. The cool thing about this one is this little thing right here where it says PO 9, 2, 10, and 11. It actually has a special tie back to those pieces that says, hey, guess what? I took care of you. I took care of you. So what I want to do is I want to go to the Edit Line Items page. Scroll up to the top of the page, and we're going to set Edit Line Items right in the middle. And we're going to scroll down. What I want to do is show you that there is actually an active link right to these particular POs. Why don't we click on 11? Okay? It currently says, I'm not paid, but I have one payment. If I click on that, I'll actually come in here and it says, oh, only 75%, $75 was paid towards me. I still owe $56.25 on this one. This $605.30 says, hey, I am the total value for expense number 2, and of that, a portion of it went to satisfy this PO. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would have gotten confused for a second. 605.
Yep. Okay, that's the total of expense number 2.
Yeah.
Let's go back and do a different one. It might make it a little bit more sense. Why don't you click on, you need to be on the Edit Line Items for the PO. Oh, I'm going to go on. Edit Line Items for the expense receipt. We went back a little bit ways. Let me get back to the expense receipt line items page. I'm going to click on number 9 this time just for fun, just to see it. Hey, I'm saying I'm fully paid. Like the other one said no. This one says, yes, I'm paid. Here's my date, all this kind of stuff. If I click on it, it'll actually kind of say, hey, I was fully satisfied. Here's my $50 payment. 0 is owed. And if you wanted to, you could jump back to number 2 to actually find that detail. Okay? If I click on, just for fun, I'm currently on the PO payments page. If I wanted to look at this history, I have a number of things that are interestingly happening. Okay, look at this last little thing that happened right here. Marked PO as paid in full, see expense receipt 2. Okay, it actually, behind the scenes, is already saying, hey, you've got a brother now. Okay, expense receipt number 2 is there. If we were to void expense receipt number 2, it would basically go like this. I need to back those things back out. And it would have to help back those things back out because it's already beginning to take on another piece of the puzzle, if that makes sense, helping it move along in the journey.
That's cool, and you know who did it, you never made it, and then paid it, verified it.
Yeah, these things sit behind the scenes, okay? Once again, this is a pull technology. If you want to know what happened, you ask the system, hey, what's going on? You go to the history for it, okay? Perfect, perfect. Mr. Ethan, I know you have to go. Do you have any closing words as you head out towards Salt Lake? Thank you for staying around today.
No, it just really was a pleasure. The best part of this week was getting to know you guys. You guys are an awesome group, awesome family, and if the least thing that happened, I got to meet you guys. It was worth the trip. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate it. Good things are going to happen, though. It's good group. It's going to be good. A lot of lives are going to be helped by this.
Awesome, awesome.
Enjoy your wrestling tournament.
Oh, yeah, I will. Yes.
Okay, do you want some hot tamales for the road?
No, thank you. I'm not a hot tamale fan.
You're watching your weight and your figure for a wrestling tournament?
Yeah.
He's got a big weight.
Yeah, he's got a big weight.
I actually, crazy as I am, before I threw my disc out, I was training for a Masters, which is 50 and over tournament. then I started looking at it, and part of me I was happy I got hurt, because I was like, okay, I was just a really average college wrestler. I was a high school national champion, but 50 and over, the only guys that were wrestling were 2 former Olympic medalists, 2 former 2-time Division I national champions, all who kept coaching Division I. Like, what am I doing? This is crazy.
That's awesome.
You pick your battles, and I think
Yeah,
that's wise to
Thank
not
you
do that.
very much, sir.
Appreciate you guys. We'll see you.